Anyways,
King Lebronius.
Kane Lebronius. Oh, is
King,
that the
King Lebronius? That's what I call him.
LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron. It's King Lebronius.
I mean, I could believe that for sure.
I would tell that to his face too. I'd be like, "What's up, King Lebronius?"
You'd say that to him,
Yeah,
just to see what he would say.
in his face. I would yeah.
I don't think you could get away with that. To
I
tell you the
could.
truth.
I think he
Most
could.
definitely could.
I
And
think
It's-
it might even stun him.
If he
Like, what do you
enjoys
mean?
it,
What?
maybe.
What are you talking about?
he'd be like, "Who are you talking to?" I'd be like, "I'm talking to you, King Lebronius."
You call me king?
What you calling me, Willis?
He calls himself King all the time. He's
That
always like,
is true.
I'm King James." I'm like,
King
yeah,
James.
King Lebronius.
King Lebronius.
That's good.
I think actually, every year they should give out
You have to smoke that on
like
camera.
an Emmy. For
Or you
that.
can save it, and I'm going to make everyone smoke them next week. That's what we're going to review.
I mean, Kevin can smoke it now. We'll just buy more later.
Kevin's trying to finish this first one first.
What?
How are
You're
you
not-
taking this long?
Yeah, what's going on? Are you feeling okay?
I started after you guys, so I'm
No,
probably about.
that's not an excuse.
I don't know.
How far
It
down
could be
are
an
you?
excuse.
How far down are you? More than me?
Well, I stopped smoking when I started doing math too. So
Ah,
as soon as I got my numbers, I got everybody else's numbers. That's why I had you go and give your total.
So
and
did
then I
you?
punched it.
So you are further down than I am, or you're not?
I'm at the same.
About the
There's-
same. Okay.
There's an extra cigar over here. Is it somebody's?
Is that the other Aganorsa?
Is it already
Well,
smoked?
no, it's smoked. Yes.
Is it a torpedo?
yes.
Kick it in.
Okay.
Oh, it's what he walked in with.
Oh, okay. you were smoking one while you got here.
Yep.
I was smoking
Smoking
as
on
I
his
was
way.
driving in, so
Man.
I
On his
can
way.
prep. You
That's dedication.
know, I got off work and said, "Okay, lighten up." Who's who?
What?
Nothing.
Oh.
We'll get back to it.
Okay.
We got a viewer.
A viewer
They said, "Hey guys,"
Hey.
is for horses.
that it is.
Leave it to Will or to Casey to be a jerk.
I mean, what is that?
Sorry.
Soul slasher?
What is it? It's hay is for horses.
Crickets. We've got
And the sound effects.
And we're back with sound effects.
Casey's
should've-
gotten along the way.
I should have reworked that layout before he came back.
And you know what? I still would
He
have
probably
figured
would
out.
have figured it
I
out.
still would have figured
Figure
it
out how to put all the buttons and make everyone happy.
All the buttons.
All just.
Disappointed lane face. It's on camera already.
I'm telling you, man, we're making that a shirt so bad.
Yeah, we are.
How would you feel if someone walked in wearing a shirt with your face on it? Just says disappointed lane.
I mean, they'd get a discount for sure.
That would be hilarious.
Okay. It's funny.
It's a known person pocket.
It's no person pocket.
So
Anyway.
we got an over.
Oh, I know who that is. I figured it out. Okay. I think
Oh.
it's my brother, if anything, if it's Soul Slasher.
So have we got an over under on them fixing the ceiling?
Under.
10 years?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
2 months.
Well, the panels that have fallen out or the roof causing the problem.
That one right there.
The roof
See.
causing the problem is
That's gonna be
definitely
longer.
There's
It's
there's definite
the-
sub bet
It's
there.
going to be much longer.
Well, usually it takes them roughly about 3 weeks
3 weeks
because
to do something?
roughly, if it's above like a slot machine, it takes them 3 weeks. If it's above, say, the entrance and part of it's able to be walked through, it's going to take them about 2 months.
Is
Yes.
that- okay.
All right, so I have a question. It is Kevin got it right.
Yeah, of course I do.
It took long enough.
Listen, it takes a while.
Takes them a long time.
I just read it.
All right, so you guys know I have a huge problem with cliche, right?
Of course. I do.
You do?
Some more than others.
You mean
the-
because of their product?
Wait, the
The nightclub.
What product?
Well, that's just it. It's,
not the lounge cliche.
Just
oh,
cliches.
okay.
I
in
would I
general.
would rent that room from them in a second if they would
You're,
let me.
you're just about cliches in general.
Yes, general.
in
yeah.
general. Okay.
Okay.
Some bother me more than others, right? So someone posted one the other day. Sorry, I'm responding to
Whoever it is.
Right.
yes.
So they posted what? A cliche.
That stupid fucking quote from Einstein.
Which one?
Which one is the
There's like two that
The
they use
definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same results.
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Which is not how the quote actually goes, right?
I don't know how the quote actually goes. Here's the thing. He was either joking or I desperately hope he had a serious sense of irony, right? Because he comes from a field where the gold standard is repeatability. Right?
Are we
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
science?
science.
Yes.
Yeah.
Science.
All right, that aside, and whatever he meant when he said it, he's not going to make fun of you. That is so disappointing.
He could. It doesn't matter to me.
There's already 3 of us doing that. He doesn't.
How
need
it
to
is
make fun.
used now, and tell me if you think I'm wrong.
All right.
Is it not just a euphemism for quitting?
Yes.
Oh,
It's-
you mean doing the same thing
It's a
over expecting different
rationalization for
results?
quitting.
It's a euphemism for quitting.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's the credo for the lazy.
To a degree. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's really helped out in the recovery community. It really helps them understand that there's a whole line of insanity on continuing to operate while drinking or drinking in general. So it's had its use to a benefit for sure.
Okay. No. But again, a euphemism for quitting. It just so happens that for sobriety, quitting is in fact the goal.
Yeah. Well,
And it does rely
So,
dependently on
it's
repeatability.
it's initially the first goal is probably the best way to say it because it's not just I mean I stopped hundreds of times before I actually stopped for the last time. But I mean there were hundreds of times when I was stopping or trying to stop.
So how
and
long did
didn't.
that take though? Like
Years.
a couple years before you stopped the last time, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it a time thing though, or is it a
But
one final? We're totally stepping on what I wanted to talk about. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. But when you're talking about that kind of quitting, is it a time thing? Like I need to do it a certain number of times over and over again, or is it just finding that one instance that so offends your personal sensibilities that you recognize that it is in fact now time?
it's not conscious.
Okay.
It's not conscious.
There's no
And
actual point of recognition.
once you've stopped. There's
Yeah.
a point of recognition.
Okay, but not during.
Not absolutely.
See, because I
not
thought that's
during.
what they talked about, the moment of clarity, the epiphany. I thought that was largely came out of the rooms.
So that's one of the ways to describe the epiphany, so to speak. It's like all of a sudden it dawned on me that I was, repeating the same thing, expecting a different outcome. I mean, that was how to understand the clarity and the motivation for one final stop. Now, there are many times where that one final stop is not that one final stop for everybody. People have gotten into recovery and they think they've had that final stop. They've heard that cliche, so to speak, and it just doesn't register for them. I would say definitely on a mental basis, because the recovery is actually not singular; it's multifaceted, mental, emotional, physical. Are the three for sure that needs to come together to understand. Okay, this is a stopping point. Hopefully, this is a stopping point, and then that cliche comes about in recognition of, how do I make sense of stopping? And it's like that's one of the euphemisms that are used in order to continue on, because stopping's just the beginning. There's a whole lot of, thought process, emotional process that goes on in the development of the human being to go forward and stay stopped.
Am I wrong in thinking that they push this as a lifelong process?
Initially, no. Initially, no. And the reason why I say that is because if you come into the situation where you think you got to stop, and you got to stop forever, right? It's a lifelong process. Forever. I mean,
It's just too daunting.
It's just way too much out there, and a lot of us would stop and then start to count the days.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I made it 30 days. And you continue counting. It's like, oh, I made it to 45 days. I made it to 60 days. And you adjust, how long, how many days, because it's easy to break it up into days, then step up into breaking it into months and breaking it into larger increments. So there's 30, 60, 90 day acknowledgments. For me, it was not just about 30, 60, it was about the 45 and it was about the 75. I
You did it 15 day increments.
Basically, I did it in 15 day.
Do you mind if I Soul Slasher? That makes way more sense. The second part really wraps that up. Like, never heard that. Usually just the first part, and it's usually in a context where it annoys me.
Oh yeah, no, it's a mistaken quote for one, and Einstein actually never said it. Is the other one?
Whose is it?
It's from a writer. Her name is Rhea Brown.
Okay.
It's from a book that she put out in like 1893 or something like that. But she was also paraphrasing what the actual original quote was. But yeah, they always misuse it, and I find it funny because it's like that quote gets circled around about fairy tales. The reason that fairy tales exist isn't to prove that dragons exist, but to prove to children that they can be killed. That's actually a really longer quote by Neil Gaiman, and it's always been taken out of context every time people hear it because of a TV show. And I think the Insanity one is the same thing. People just assume that Einstein said it before the internet was something popular, and it just stuck.
So many people use it around me in a context that for some reason just bothers me.
Like, how do they use it?
Well, because it's just using it as an example, being like, oh, well, why would I keep trying if it's just going to be the same result? Like, what you're saying is it's for lazy people.
Yeah, they're using it as a justification for inaction.
Yeah.
Or for whatever. Like, what I told someone was, and this wasn't about me. I was like, look, I'm totally okay with you moving on from whatever it is you need to move on from. Didn't ask what it was, didn't care. Totally okay with that. But let's not hide behind cliche to do it.
Yeah.
Like, for introspective purpose, simplifying the reasons that you need to do something, if they're intrinsic, seems disadvantageous.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, every time I hear that quote, I always laugh because I'm like, you have no idea what you're quoting. And I just want to tell people you need to look that one up.
So it's interesting because I look back at it and I used it as a tool, right?
Yeah.
And then as time went on, it no longer seemed to apply. So the power that it had in order to, as a tool, basically weakened or diminished over time. But I see your point, Lane. It can definitely be that excuse, so to speak, to explain why I behave, not me, why a person behaves the way a person does.
Are they using it as a way to give up the why keep trying to do the same thing if the outcome's always going to be the same?
Yeah, I mean, almost always it comes from a girl in a relationship who's using it as a reason to give up.
Okay.
And I'm like, why don't you just give up?
Right. Don't try to justify it.
Well, and I don't think it's about giving it up. I mean, giving up, although that's how a lot of people use it, is to give up. But I think it's about adjusting what you're doing in order to get a different result.
Yeah, but you should adjust the variable, not use an excuse.
I don't think it's that noble. I think, honestly, the way most people use it, because we have a just overabundance of bench warmers in personal relationships today. Like, people that think personal relationships should be easy, should take no time. We haven't talked for years, and we started talking. It was like we never talked. It's like we never stopped talking. That kind of thing. It's like everything's supposed to be easy and make you feel good.
No, working on a relationship.
And usually when it comes to that, yeah, it's like, oh, this got hard all of a sudden.
Like marriage.
And obviously, I don't have the tools to make it work, or this person is insufficient to work with what I want. So I'm going to find some reason that I'm not accountable for, citing a cite to authority, right? Like, basically a tool in arguments, so that you don't have to be like, I just didn't want to do it anymore.
See, and that's similar to like the marriage thing. It takes work, takes time. It's never 50-50. Sometimes it's 70-30, 80-20, 60-40.
Or even
but
a-
you have to put that work in. You have to want to keep working at it in order to make it better. You can't just give up, because once you give up, you've already lost the game.
Well, and that's where I go at it in a sense of I need to adjust what I'm doing. If I'm doing something over and over and over again and I'm not adjusting to get a different result, then it is a form of insanity. But the trick of the tail, so to speak, is implement some other different sort of application of I'm doing something in a regular, repetitious way, but I'm adjusting something.
But that's the thing. They're not putting in the adjustments.
No, they're throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, they don't. No, you're absolutely correct.
I like
Lane.
that
mean,
one.
I believe it is used as an excuse for sure.
yeah.
Especially, I mean, if you're not using it as a tool to improve or as a tool to adjust, then yeah, you are basically
Using as reason to leave, whatever the situation
well,
is.
yeah, you're in-
Which is, listen, again, fine. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But I think we desperately need people to be honest with themselves in today's society about their rationale for really everything. Like, let's understand ourselves a little bit. All right. Complete change of topic.
All right.
Okay.
My car tried to kill me again.
Oh, what?
yeah?
Dude, Subaru EyeSight, the automatic stop camera thing is trash.
Is there snow on
Oh,
your camera?
that's the automatic braking, right?
There was nothing. There was a truck pulling out of my way a little slowly 50 yards in front of me, and it slammed on the brakes and almost got me rear-ended for like the 20th time.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's no way to disconnect that?
I feel like
You
it's a
can
fault.
you can turn it off, but you have to turn it off every time you get in the car.
What about unplugging a fuse?
You can't do it.
Can't do it?
Nope,
No.
I've looked
No,
into it.
because if you unplug one fuse, then it's connected.
Yeah.
And
If
it
there was
stops
a way to
everything.
permanently disable it, I would.
Yeah, you would.
There is. It's called Get Rid of That Subaru.
Such a garbage system. I did manage to turn off the lane assist thing. That one stays off.
Okay.
Which my biggest problem with that, it relies on the same cameras. And if you drive in mountain roads where there are ruts and the lanes tend to just disappear because they didn't repaint the lines
It beeps at you
all the time.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I am clearly in the lane right now.
Yeah,
Or if
that
the roads are
Toyota
covered
one.
with snow and it's like, I don't know where we are.
Yeah, the Toyota one does the same thing.
Yeah.
It's obnoxious. You're like, stop beeping. I'm driving.
Have you tried talking to like their technicians and all that? Did
Oh,
they
yeah.
say there's a way or no?
No, that safety feature is not turn offable.
That is
Yeah.
a stupid safety feature. That
I'll tell you what though, I learned something real fun.
What's
What's
that?
that?
You know those driverless cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put a cone on the hood, disables the vehicle.
What?
Yeah, so they're you know they have all those cameras and stuff on them.
Yeah.
Well, they're designed as the safety feature for the driverless car is that cones clearly are either road construction or they're locking something off. So the camera can process what the cone is. It just knows not to go towards it.
Wait.
So if you put it on the hood, it thinks there's a cone in front of
So-
it and it stops moving.
Wait,
it can't go
Is
anywhere.
it the color? or
Better
is
than
it-
that, can you just paint the center of the hood orange? And until they get it repainted, the car's useless.
No, because it needs the field of depth to see the
God
cone. Yeah,
Because that would be amazing.
Oh, that would be
cone-
so awesome.
I learned this because I saw a video. Apparently, in the big cities now, they have the driverless delivery cars.
Yeah.
And there were 3 of them stopped at an intersection because a maintenance guy cone had fallen off his truck or something, and it was just in the middle of the 3 lanes, and they couldn't. They were all stopped in this like weird triangle of driverless car errors. They couldn't go anywhere, and people were like, "Wait a minute, does that work?" And then other people now just go around and put them on driverless cars. And just, so if you ever see the Domino's one and you want free pizza, just go outside with a cone, put that up on the hood, and then be like, give me the pizza. And the car will just be like, all right, here you go. Free pizza.
Great life hack right there.
But it's just, to me, that's funny because, clearly they're using the same software.
Valuable
That
information for
basic-
college students everywhere.
Yeah, free pizza. Yeah, that basic computer read iteration of safety is so silly.
Does
wonder
it
how-
just need to be the color though? That's what I'm curious about. Can I just spray paint something that color and put it on the hood?
As long as it was the shape of I think it has to be like the shape of a cone. So it's got to be long, cylindrical, and have that like reflective piece on it.
Okay.
So you probably could jimmy like a one together out of cardboard or something and be fine.
I'd be testing it with like orange, yellow, blue. See what happens.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine that in the city now. They have these completely autonomous delivery vehicles.
And
Especially seeing how there's road
they're
work
truly
everywhere.
They're truly unmanned. Yeah, like someone thought it was a really good idea to be like, hey, you know what? Driving in this country's already terrible. I'm going to add a no-person car just to fuck your day off even more than it already was.
Dude, it's going to
So-
take about 12 seconds for someone to put super glue on the bottom of the cone.
So, yeah, or you
how
just
you
walk across the street
That's
holding
how
a
you do
cone and they all stop.
I wonder how high it has to be.
They used the one I saw in the video was a really small cone. So it like I said, it recognizes the shape
So
of a traffic cone.
Wonder if
So
the
4 or 5
football
inches
ones would
might
work.
make it.
Oh yeah, it'd be fine. Yeah.
You think the football ones would work? Those little round, short ones?
If they were bright orange and reflective,
They're,
yes.
they're bright
probably.
orange. They're small, though. They're probably about,
Add some
3
reflective
inches tall.
gaffer tape to the top, and we've got a deal.
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's
You
where
think-
that's where we're at.
Just start tossing them on
You
there.
think it's the same? It would be tall enough, the same size as a monster can.
I think so. I think it'd be fine because the scanner would pick it up
Yeah.
and it would think that the cone is far away.
Right.
The orange,
Yeah.
the orange can.
I'm wondering if it has to be orange.
Just devastate
I mean,
it.
I don't think. I think it has to just have the reflective stripe
okay.
because some cones are
Or some
different
Oh, on
colors.
the
reflection
top
in it.
piece?
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
that top reflective piece, and I think that's what they need to like focus on the most for. But
That
again,
makes
it's
sense.
the same tech. It's the same stupid sensor that's in the top. It does the lane because the lane assist is based on the reflective metallic stuff.
Yeah, or like the bots dots or whatever.
Yeah, so that's what it looks for. And so you're like, okay, well, what if we live in a place where they don't have that? You're just going to beep at me all the time.
The funny part is the city. The city is constantly under construction, so those cars are going to stop everywhere.
Oh, dude, it's so silly, so silly.
Man, if I lived in a city, I'd be
I
messing
mean,
with
and
it
what
so
do you
I know,
much.
right?
And what do you do with that, right? I mean, who's responsible for coming and getting that car?
It
out
depends
of the
on
way?
whose car it is.
Well, I mean,
If it's like the Domino's delivery car, then someone from Domino's has to come get it.
well, why? I mean,
Unless it's got a return home feature, but even then, if it's stuck on a cone, then it's just going to pull over and not move.
well, no. But what I'm thinking is, I mean, I would suspect a traffic cop, like the guy who comes in from San Francisco,
Nah, man.
one of those guys shows up and has to figure out how to get it out of the way, or a police officer.
Oh,
has
yeah, I
to-
mean,
has
yeah,
to
right?
figure out how to get it out of the way.
I want to say that you can
Until you super glue it.
like get in. Like I think there's a remote feature.
Right.
Someone has to be able to open it, so like
There's
you
got to
can
be a
move
switch.
it.
Like
There's
the
got to be a
technicians.
switch to manual.
Yeah, there's got to be because it can't be. It's not like the doors are welded shut, Dukes of Hazzard style,
Right.
You know. But I also imagine you can't just get into it because then homeless people would have free cars all the time, right?
Interesting.
Like, why would you sleep on the road when you can just sleep in the autonomous delivery vehicle?
Just put a cone on it so it's stuck and get in and take a
but-
nap.
Yeah, just nap
Homeless-
time. Here we
homeless
go.
Guy, nap time, food.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's perfect. Smells,
this-
smells like Domino's in here.
This Aganorsa,
Yes.
it's actually holding an ash too,
Oh,
Yeah.
It's because it's rolled.
because it's rolled correctly.
Well, it's rolled tight.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And therefore the draw.
Oh, dude, Vegas would be. Yeah, you're right. That would be.
oh, that's right. They have the Super Bowl coming up.
Yes.
Ooh.
The coming of the end of the world.
So remember how F1 was in Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
My dad went down there.
Mm.
The way he got past it is he just walked through different areas and just started walking up to the area. Got away with it, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh,
no
dude.
issues.
The video I saw of people sitting in random places they weren't supposed to be in Vegas for F1, hilarious. Like one dude had climbed up and over a set of stairs and he was just chilling, clearly where you shouldn't be, but nobody stopped him. He was just watching the F1 race from up there, and I was
Nice
like, dude,
vantage
that's
point.
dope.
I mean, they don't have enough security for the level of delinquency you're going to find at an event like that in Vegas.
No.
Exactly.
And then the Super Bowl, the entire building is one superconductive building of negative energy. The girders are pure selenium. Like, come
We're
on.
just lucky the Raiders weren't in it.
No one cares. It's in Vegas.
Super Bowl's finally in
Insert
Vegas.
name here. We're still going.
No, they're going, but can you imagine the black hole running ramshot over Vegas?
Yeah, the end times.
I joked forever, right? So, forever. I was like, look, if God is ever done with this little experiment that we've come up with here,
Yeah.
Like it's going to be the Super Bowl in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He's just going to be going about his business, doing his thing, and he's going to look down and be like,
Nope.
"Fuck."
Yeah.
All right, this experiment's over.
We're
I said I
done.
wouldn't do it again, but I'm going to do it again.
He's just coming back with dragons and just wiping out the population.
When you said I'm going to do it again, Kevin, it made me think of the cliche that Wayne brought up. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this again. Okay, God, you go ahead and do this again because I
Let's
don't
see.
know if the
Yeah,
outcome's
he-
going to be different.
Listen, if he brings back dragons, I'm going to eat me some dragon. I'm going to find out what it tastes like.
Brings back
I'm going to eat
dragons.
everything at least once.
You don't remember that part in the end of the Bible? When he comes back to Earth with dragons?
And there will be dragons.
Yeah, there will be dragons. You don't remember that?
No.
Oh, yeah. No,
Is
it's-
that in Revelations?
Yeah, it's
Oh
totally.
my God.
Yeah, it's after the seas boil and the dead rise and the cats and dogs and thing, and then there's dragons.
Pterodactyls.
Look it up, man. I'm telling you.
Pterodactyls.
Pterodactyl's not a dragon; it's just a big flying bird.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that what a dragon is?
It's a
No,
flying chicken.
a dragon's a fucking dragon. There's a difference.
What?
Oh, God.
It breathes air.
They're
I mean, it
fencing
breathes-
off 300 feet away from the walls of the stadium.
I can believe it.
I mean, are they building a brick wall?
No.
No, it's probably just that fence that could be taken
It's
down.
gonna be,
Yeah.
It depends on who in Nevada's building it. Because
yeah.
they could do a lot of things.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
true. It'll just look
Well, it
like
has
a
to-
prison complex.
It's going to have to be
Stadium's-
removable to a
Stadium's
degree,
gonna
right?
look like a POW camp or something.
People are afraid to walk in. Look, they're like, is this?
Are we going to make it out?
Are we okay?
How am I going to make it out of here? This
yeah, what,
Are we
going
doing
in
Squid
there?
Games?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Are they keeping people out? Or are they keeping us in?
Maybe both.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
that's that. No, I don't want to be anywhere near that
Ah,
at all.
you should go there.
Fuck that.
I thought James was going to go.
I
Is he
think we
not?
were joking about going, but it's just the same joke about going to Formula One. Is like, yeah, I'd love to go if it wasn't $2,000 a ticket.
Well, he was complaining about the 7-star program now, how it's just fallen off.
Well,
Oh.
that's yeah.
What is the 7-star program?
It's Harris' unadvertised top tier player.
Ah,
Yeah.
got it. He's a top tier player, I'm guessing then?
Yeah, he's 7-star. Him and Wanda both are 7 stars.
So when
They
you,
have 23,000 people in that system or something at 7-star.
Oh, craps.
when
They
you
make
when you say unidentified, what do you mean by that?
they don't advertise it.
Oh, that you
They don't
can't-
advertise it as their top tier.
They-
They
oh.
might now. They didn't used to. I haven't seen it anywhere still.
Well, how do you get any higher, right? I mean, that's usually
Well, so they've got the regular like bronze, gold, platinum, whatever their players tier
right,
system
right.
is, and then they had forever to
Seven
the general
stars.
public. The top tier was platinum or whatever it's or diamond or whatever.
I think it was Diamond. Yeah.
But that wasn't the top tier. The top tier was 7-star. They didn't talk about it. It wasn't mentioned. It was a whole different class of player,
got it.
and they represented at the time something like 80% of Caesar's income.
Oh, wow.
Oh
Interesting.
yeah, because
That's a
I
hell of an
mean,
amount.
we're talking about.
We're
big-
talking about guys that lose $3 million in a weekend.
Yeah, whales, big whales.
Now that's not the bottom of 7-star, but even the bottom of 7-star is pretty impressive. Like it's a lot of money
Yeah.
that you're putting into a casino.
So when you say whales, that's more like one of those, what's it called, that blue whale? Whereas
There are some belugas and some blues. It just kind of depends on
maybe
what
a whale
whale.
shark in there.
Yeah, the killer usually is.
What just happened?
We're talking about
Whales.
whales. We can talk about whales.
Remember Star Trek 4? They saved the whales. Remember?
Space whales.
So we transitioned from
Different,
7
different kind
stars
of,
to
different kind of
whales.
whale.
I mean, the whale. I mean, I would suspect that it's $1 million worth of play over 3 days. Would be a 7-star count.
No, it used to be. So coin in is a really strange measure because it doesn't measure your actual loss; it measures total play. It used to be 1.2 million coin in over whatever their measuring period was. I don't think it was quite a year. It was like 8 months or 10 months or something.
Oh,
And then your ADT for a weekend had to be over 60K if you were a
ADT.
tables player.
Oh man.
ADT.
Average daily theoretical.
Okay.
Yeah, because don't they measure it like if you had like $500 and you bought into a table, and then you didn't win or didn't lose anything, you stayed at 500, but then you went to a different table. Doesn't that register as 1,000 for that day? Isn't that how that works?
For your buy-in, but ADT is more complex than that.
Depending on how
Yeah.
they're tracking it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that's how it worked. Like,
No, they're tracking your actual hands.
Oh, okay.
They don't. they kind of care what you buy in for, like they measure it, but more of the mathematical part of it is looking at it and saying, okay, their average bet over 3 hours was $50. And then they work it off that based on average wins and losses. Like they don't actually care what you win and lose. They just work it on averages because it's close enough.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which it's a better representation of what's going on for you. I mean, if you're losing,
It helps you out more because it shows that you're playing more than what you actually have.
okay.
I don't understand this. I believe they're going to also do the aerial test for nuclear materials like they did on New Year's Eve. I don't know what that means, but it sounds terrifying.
You kind of gotta give more depth there,
Yeah,
BJ.
Casey knows.
Yeah, they do the it's a weird. You can scan for nuclear material from the air.
Radiation.
Oh, so they're
looking for dirty bombs.
yeah.
Yeah, we do it a lot more than people notice.
How did we transition to that?
It was a comment.
Oh,
It was Kevin's brother.
The nice part is comments now. We can actually start stemming off of those and having more topics
Yeah,
and things to speak about.
No, so you
So it's
can
aerial surveillance.
Yeah, basically it's a old converted plane or whatever, like an AWAC, and it flies over and it scans for like uranium-235.
Okay.
is it uranium or radiation?
Well, uranium or cesium or whatever. It nuclear particles put off a certain reading in areas, and
Okay.
you can actually see it from the air.
Interesting.
Yeah, especially in small doses where it's not supposed to belong. The problem is that if you have like a shitty hospital and it's leaking from its radiology department, it looks exactly the same. So then you just have to be like,
There's a dirty bomb in the
there's,
hospital.
There's
Oh,
clearly
wait,
there's
the
clearly
hospital
a bloom.
is a dirty bomb.
Yeah, there's a bloom on 3rd and 7th. You're like, yeah, that's a hospital.
Yeah,
Oh.
good stuff.
Okay, well,
Should we tell anybody? No.
There's a bloom there. I just want you to know that you're
Everybody's
building.
getting radiation poisoning right now.
Yeah. Well, they developed it for, I think it was, because they do the deliveries. Because you have to drive those casks
Oh yeah.
up certain routes. And so then they follow the route in the plane to make sure that the casks aren't leaking.
And that nobody's trying to take it.
Well, that too, I don't know what you would do with one of those casks. That would be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, nuclear waste is not something that you just want to play around with.
Well, if somebody really wants to put in work, they're gonna do it.
You just got to blow the bitch.
Do they actually put stuff out at Yucca? I thought they closed that off.
Believe it's Idaho now.
Yeah.
Or one of those Midwest places.
For testing?
No, for storage.
Oh, storage.
Yeah.
It's not Colorado?
No.
No, it's Wyoming,
Yeah,
Idaho.
it's one of those.
Yeah, because it's out in the middle,
northern-ish.
Nebraska, maybe,
Yeah. It's where nobody lives.
for our Orange County friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's perfect.
That's fair.
It's not like we don't grow anything there.
No. Why do you think the rice always stays warm? Tastes a little radioactive.
That's the sign right there. That's why we always have rice.
Oh. What do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about Chevron deference in the Supreme Court?
What do you got, Will?
Please expand upon that. Because I saw something from...
Like, you know what that is.
like,
No.
yeah. No.
Chevron deference is a doctrine of statutory interpretation. It's not even a doctrine, it's deference, right? So typically, and it only applies if the party promoting the rule or the party of which the cause of action is filed against is an executive agency. So like federal agency under the umbrella of the president, the executive branch.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, you get it. So executive agencies can't do anything on their own, right? Everything they do is theoretically backed by an empowering statute passed by Congress,
Okay.
right? So Congress says, you can make the air cleaner, the Federal Clean Air Act.
Sure.
And then the EPA is like, okay, how do we do that? So then they start making up a bunch of stuff and doing some things and whatever.
On how to do that.
And then it gets challenged by, say an oil company
Or any other entity.
like Chevron.
Hence the Chevron
But,
difference.
yeah, so is this named because Chevron?
It's because of a particular case. Yeah.
Okay.
And Chevron was the plaintiff.
Ah.
I'm pretty sure.
Ah.
So what Chevron deference says is, if there's an ambiguous part of the statute, and the interpretation of that ambiguity is reasonable by the agency, then the court must defer to the agency's interpretation because they are the experts. And in theory, in its limited application, which was envisioned in '84 when the Chevron case happened in the Supreme Court, it makes a lot of sense because the court doesn't want to be deciding a lot of things that it has really no knowledge of. Like it doesn't know about parts per million in particulate matter in the air for waste off of a plant that's processing crude oil into something else. Right? It has no idea.
Is this something that you use or that the courts would use in order to mitigate what government can do?
Well, no, it's in fact the opposite of that. It's the court saying as long as the executive branch is acting under what is deemed a reasonable interpretation, they are not going to interfere with the agency's action.
So this isn't good when it comes to ATF and FBI?
No, in fact, which I believe is going to happen, Chevron is knocked down, which is what these two cases today were about. I listened to all the oral arguments today. It was 4 hours worth, damn near.
Okay.
But it was interesting. I will say, so there were two cases combined, same attorney general, solicitor general, whatever her title was, basically Biden's top constitutional lawyer.
Oh, okay.
She argues in front of the Supreme Court a bunch. So the first guy, I don't remember the attorney's name, kind of fumbled a little bit, made some good points. She made a lot of good points. Hey, Soul Slasher, thanks for watching, man. Appreciate it. And then the second case, Clement was the attorney in the second case, the plaintiff's attorney, and he knocked it out of the park. He was fantastic. And then the attorney general got up again, and she just got grilled. I mean, she was backtracking like a she even started arguing, like the first one, she was basically arguing, this is stupid, I don't know why we're here, I'm going to win. Then the second attorney happened, and then she got back up, and she started arguing mitigation and alternatives and what they do if they don't like Chevron as it is without knocking down Chevron completely. Anyway, basically what they're saying is, yes, so the reason that an FRT can be deemed a machine gun is because of Chevron deference.
FRT.
Forced reset trigger.
Ah, okay.
Or bump stocks. The reason a bump stock can be deemed a machine gun under the NFA, because it's not in the statutory language, is because of Chevron. So if Chevron gets knocked down, executive agency authority is limited. So my jokes are these. Here's the problem with Chevron deference. Like what happened when they thought it was going to be, it just expanded well beyond the scope of what they thought, right? So initially, they're like, limited application, we're never going to get to this step, whatever. Turns out what they could have called the Chevron case was the Executive Agency Empowerment Act, because that's what it did. A couple things happened. First, Congress got lazy, and they started introducing a lot more ambiguity into their laws because they just figured the executive agency would interpret it however they want, and they'd be fine because of Chevron deference. Second, the courts got lazy, partly because they didn't know what it meant, and partly because they didn't care. So there's supposed to be like this two-step. You analyze it to see if Congress spoke to it, and then you analyze it to see if the interpretation is reasonable. And the court just skipped straight to ambiguous statute, defer to the agency, right? That you just got 70% of the decisions look like that dealt with executive agency actions. So no one really got their day in court. So courts are lazy, Congress is lazy, and executive agencies just ran roughshod over everybody. And I mean everybody. They just started doing whatever they want. So you end up with, so you have consistency, you have reliability in the law. However, you lose reliability on the political side from term to term, because now that agency action is interpreted as long as it's reasonable, it's fine. Every time you get a change in the White House, you get a 180-degree turn in a lot of the bigger issue laws right out of the gate. That's why, I mean, Chevron is probably largely why the first thing that presidents do when they get into office, they'll issue 100 to 200 executive actions in the first 3 days.
And that's because of Chevron deference?
It's because they can. Yeah, Chevron deference allows them to.
Allows it.
Because the court's not going to step in and say anything. This would take that away. This would force, they would step back to something called Skidmore. They call it Skidmore deference. It's really more like Skidmore respect. So you have to heed the evidence presented by the experts, the agencies. But you're still doing a traditional statutory analysis to see if they have the authority to speak to that issue, and so on and so forth. And then the court issues a ruling. Were they allowed to do this? Were they weren't allowed to do this? If they weren't, why not? What didn't Congress say? The catch is, so here's the thing, right? And they're always like, oh, if you do this, then the court's, going to do all these things. You're like, not really. What the court's going to say is Congress didn't speak to that, so go talk to Congress. Because we're not talking about constitutional law. Now, Chevron might get overturned on constitutional grounds, but we're talking about statutory interpretation. So
Okay.
the court isn't going to say this is the law. The court's going to say this is what that law that you wrote says. If you want it to be different, write a different law.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay.
So when you were talking about it previously and you said it's statutory issues, what kind of statutory
Statutory interpretation.
interpretation? I was thinking you were using it as it applies to constitutional law. Now, does the Chevron deference kind of like go away when it comes to constitutional law, or can it be enacted?
No, I mean, so the analysis of constitutional law
Yeah.
is largely the same as the analysis of statutory law, but it's different in that the end result that the Constitution is the Constitution. Whatever the Supreme Court says it is, that's what it is.
Right.
Congress can change. Like they're going to say, like the NFA, right? A machine gun is a gun that fires more than one bullet with one single pull of the trigger. Whatever, has an open bolt. There's a bunch of different things. Now, could Congress go back and declare bump stocks machine guns? Probably. That's probably not unconstitutional. They could do it if they could pass that law. But they didn't pass that law is the problem. They just relied on the ATF to declare them machine guns through executive action and then just umbrellaed them under the NFA.
Oh,
So the Supreme Court, like when the bump stock case happens, the Supreme Court isn't going to say bump stocks it's unconstitutional to ban bump stocks. That's not the ruling we're going to get. That's not the ruling that doesn't even sniff what they're doing. What they're talking about in that case is whether or not the NFA empowers the ATF to declare bump stocks machine guns. It's not about whether Congress can or can't declare bump stocks as machine guns. That's a different issue. Not going to come up in this case. What they're talking about is under the NFA's language today, is a bump stock a machine gun?
Right. So
they're different issues.
So
Right.
that's interesting because does a bump stock, I guess you have to get back to the original question, or not question, but statement. Does a bump stock allow for multiple rounds, more than one, at one trigger?
No.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
No, it forces you, because the bump stock is basically a spring-loaded mechanism on your shoulder.
Right.
So it's just like an FRT, but it works against your shoulder instead of against your finger. So you hold back against your shoulder, and it pushes out and forces you to pull the trigger again. But each bullet is fired with an independent pull of the trigger.
Right. So you're not doing a burst.
But that said, if Congress wanted to go in and say, we still consider machine guns extraordinarily dangerous and uncommon, and for that reason, we think they should still fall to the NFA, and as should things that make semi-automatic weapons mimic machine guns, that they can probably get away with that. I don't know what the statutory history is in 1795 of regulation of Gatling guns or how you make a machine gun, but I think they could probably get away with it. But that said, Congress has to pass that law.
And it has to be
okay.
2/3 of both houses?
No.
No.
It's not a constitutional provision. It's just a law.
Oh.
It's passed by the judicial.
No, it's passed by
It's
Congress.
Congress.
no, it's Congress, but they don't need.
All the judges are going to say is the NFA doesn't authorize you to do this right now.
Yeah.
So they're going to change the NFA?
Now, would they also run up against a constitutional challenge? Yes, but I think they lose the constitutional challenge in that case. My guess is they would.
Okay. So your oral arguments that you basically were listening to today
Yeah.
supports this conversation?
Oh, Chevron's going away. I'm pretty sure. The wild card is Barrett. And at the beginning, she seemed a little hesitant. By the end, she seemed far more comfortable with getting rid of it. I think it's gone.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to survive. Roberts is going to do gymnastic-level backflips to avoid a constitutional question. He's going to try and find some narrow out. We're going to see some garbage-ass, concurring in the opinion but not the rationale bullshit that Roberts always does. like, and I don't care. Listen, if he doesn't want to, if he wants to say that Chevron is proper, fine.
Just say it.
If he wants to say that Chevron is improper, fine. But like what that dude has never done is take a stance in any of his opinions. That dude is the most limp-wristed jurist on the Supreme Court.
And that does not bode well.
No, it's terrible. Like, I understand where his initial stance is. The Supreme Court should do everything it can to avoid constitutional questions. But this dude literally makes up laws to avoid constitutional questions, and that's probably a bridge too far.
He makes up laws.
Oh yeah, dude. Some of his opinions, you're like, that doesn't even make sense.
Does it actually even exist?
No.
Oh, so it's it's hypothetical fairy tale land?
Yeah, like he's stretching existing laws as far as he can to make things not constitutional questions. His opinions are tough to read. I mean, they're challenging.
And
His opinion on
and we have him until he dies or retires.
yes, his opinion on the ACA is a mess. It's worse than a Kennedy opinion, and Kennedy opinions were bad. I mean, Kennedy was the most ADHD of any judge I've ever had to read. Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's going away.
I don't know if I should take offense to that.
Well, it matters when you're trying to read a 120-page Supreme Court opinion.
Dude, I'd be all over
And
the
every
place
chapter is
you
like,
would
ooh,
get
squirrel,
confused.
ooh, squirrel, ooh, squirrel.
My writing's already like that and it's short.
No, seriously. Olympic-level gymnastics
Nice.
to avoid constitutional questions.
Of course.
So real quick, before we continue with this topic, this lunatic, I'm already lightheaded because trying to get a draw,
Smoking it.
trying to get a draw off this thing is
Brutal.
brutal. I know you got to cut it deep now because I had to recut it because I tried to do the angle cut. Does not work.
Did you use the
have
V
to-
cutter?
No, you have to cut deep and straight cut it.
It's a big enough, it's a blunted enough pyramid that you could use a V-cut.
I think the
could be.
V cut was probably your answer for that.
Maybe I don't
If we're
know.
being fair, because then it would hold the cap together.
How is the flavor on it?
Yeah,
The
does it
flavor
taste
so
good?
far is pretty good, and I haven't even gotten past the first inch already. It's
Dude, it's smoking like an egg.
it is.
Oh, hey,
Essentially.
I wasn't here. Did he smoke that?
No.
No,
Oh,
he never did.
Who's he?
James's buddy.
Was that G?
He gave him an egg.
Gave that to G, right?
He probably
Yeah.
smoked it later.
I gotta ask James if he ever smoked it.
That's such a brutal cigar.
That cigar is no joke.
And
man.
we're doing these ones, right?
Do you want to? We can.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm okay with
at this
doing
point
it.
now. Yes, we have to.
The draw on it, like I said, you got to cut it deep
That's fine.
to get a draw.
I have a really sharp cutter. It's fine.
I do too. Apparently, I had to cut it twice because I thought the first cut was going to be enough, but it was not.
So I rediscovered my problem with the ski and snowboard industry, Will.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
So there's a company.
one
I'm not
problem?
going to name their name, right? But I work in the business.
yeah.
Right.
And I reached out to get a pro deal because we don't carry, the company doesn't carry the stuff from them that I want.
Okay.
So I was like, listen, I get 40% on all your stuff anyway.
Right.
But I want this thing and we don't carry it in our system. And their advertisement for the pro deal is like, you know, if you do this, or you're just someone that spends most of their time working on the snow, we're happy to have you.
Okay.
So I'm like, cool. I applied. And I get a letter back. We're sorry to tell you that because your job doesn't meet our minimum qualifications as a guide, we can't make you a part of our pro program.
As a guide?
Yeah.
Their guide.
Yeah.
On what they can do.
No. Their guide, like, as in like a backcountry guide.
Oh, okay.
Like they're trying to, so like they try to, this is my problem, right? Is everyone tries to act fucking chill. They're
Sure.
like, oh, we're just chill, man. We're just fucking hanging out, doing our
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you start talking to them and they get super fucking arrogant.
Yep.
Just pretentious as shit.
Well, it's that Chevron difference.
It just bugs the crap out of me because they're one thing on the face,
Right.
but then you start talking to them and they're a completely different thing. Golf does this too.
Now, when you say them, are you talking about the
Well, it's the entity.
the overriding entity versus the pretentious
I think,
person that wants?
I think it'd be the entity's structure based versus their image,
Yeah.
right? Like you want to, you know, everyone always is like, oh, we're doing this, and then you're like, oh, okay, so that means we can do this. And they go, oh no, we can't do that. That's silly.
Yeah. They want to present themselves as one thing, but that's really not who they are at all. They're a completely different thing.
And that's not just equipment companies.
Oh, that's a lot of
it's
people.
Through and through the industry.
Oh, yeah, no, I get
Yeah.
that. But this is, like I said, this is my problem with the industry generally.
Yeah,
Like, they talk about wanting to get more people in the sport,
I get that.
but they're unwilling to deal with the Jerry of the Day issue.
Yep.
Like, the same people who fill these director, VP, C-suite roles in the industry, who are like, this is really what we need. If you catch them on a day on the mountain and you're in their circle, you can catch them making fun of someone stumbling down the mountain.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that goes on. Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, if I'm not guilty of that, I know quite a few other people that are guilty of that. And what's interesting is the powers that be are extremely short-sighted because all they're doing is addressing accessibility and basing that upon making it affordable. They're not actually basing it upon putting some sort of human capital towards, you know, letting that Jerry know that he's probably got a different way of thinking on how this works and applies to the sport.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're just talking about corporate takeovers, right?
Well, I
That's
was-
what corporate America. just
No,
does
this
that.
isn't corporate. This
isn't a corporate company.
no, it is a corporate company, but this
okay.
is not a corporate problem in the ski industry.
Oh.
This is an everybody problem.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude that runs Sierra will 100% make fun of these people.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just the guy who runs Sierra.
Yeah.
There's other hierarchies that do that as well.
Yeah.
They can't admit to it. Of course they can't admit to it, but they do it. I mean, it's
Well, listen, I spend my days on the mountain with people that are going to be stumbling down the mountain.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my goal is to get them past that.
Exactly.
But there's something internally where you know that the people that pay you are making fun of the people that are paying them lots of money to learn this sport. There's something a little bit uneasy about that.
Yeah, it's very hypocritical. It's
Yeah.
extremely hypocritical.
Like, we'll take your money. Oh, no, I mean, we're still going to make fun of you, but we'll take your money.
Right.
I feel like that's most businesses, though.
Well, they had that problem at Hoonigan.
Hoonigan?
Yeah, you remember Ken Block started Hoonigan.
Yeah.
And they have a big garage, and you know the guys who were all part of it originally were going about how much fun it was to just basically work in a garage and build some of the most ridiculous things ever. And now that Ken Block's gone, this other company came in and purchased Hoonigan as a whole, and has pretty much changed the entire inside of how it works. It went corporate. Yeah.
community.
Yeah, they went from being like, hey, our goal is to make the most ridiculous thing ever to, well, here as a corporation, we need to do this, this, and this, and apply these fundamentals. And a lot of the guys who originally were there are like, dude, I can't work there anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it's completely lost its identity.
Yeah, I mean, but to what Lane's getting at is unfortunate. It's really sad that that goes on. I mean, the flip side of that though is that if you go to that guy and go, hey, you know, you probably should take a lesson, or, you know, hey, have you thought about this? How about doing this? The community as a whole isn't accepting of the new person getting started,
Oh no, it's
which is unfortunate.
yeah, no, it like new to something has almost become like a why are you even here moment.
Almost, yes.
Yeah, there's a video game called Eve, and it's basically this game about like floating around on a spaceship and starting off. It got so bad to be a new player to that game. Like we're talking about people who've been playing that game for about 10 years now, but the new people that were trying to sign up to learn how to play it were getting bullied by these super huge guild groups that have just basically taken over as their own corporations. That people stopped playing because they were getting bullied.
Yeah.
And then people were like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And everyone's like, yeah, you can. You could stop them from doing that. And they're like, no, we really can't. I'm like, what? Yes, you could. You're ruining it for other people. Like,
No,
A ski resort mountain could do the same thing.
Your point is definitely taken. It's just who's going to exert the energy in order to A, stop the bully, and B, educate the new person. I mean, it's really about education of the new guy.
Well, yeah.
Right?
But if you want new people, then you'd offer a program specifically for new people, and you wouldn't charge that much for it.
Right.
Right?
I think that's how
I mean,
it
I feel like
used to
that.
be at
I feel
one
like
time.
that's how it should be.
That's the idea of group lessons.
Who are we?
Those are new people. I don't know who they are.
I think
Who are they
it's-
talking to?
Us?
They want to come in here and talk?
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. Who are they?
I don't know.
No.
Let's find out. Who are you guys?
And where do you want to come in?
Oh, someone needs a cigar.
Oh.
Yeah, you can cut me off the live stream and I'll take care of you.
I just totally derailed my thinking. I think that's essentially how group lessons came about. It's like, okay, not everybody can afford the private lessons or the
Right.
semi-private lessons, right? Semi-private being, okay, not just dad, but dad and his family.
Right.
And so that could be semi-private. But correct me if I'm wrong, Lane, a group lesson is a number of people who do not know each other
Yeah, come on up.
and who do not know each other and want to take a lesson and learn at the same time that all the other people who can't afford private lessons or semi-private lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we could get the rest of the community to see that when there's somebody struggling with, learning how to ski, and go up to them and go, hey, you know what? Let's try. You might want to try this, or you might want to try that. But that also would lend itself to teaching on private property or privately governed property, because it's U.S. Forest Service territory anyway. But the real crux is, are you getting money for that? So I've leaped into, I've kind of gone down the ladder to where we talk about,
Do you see him down there?
where we talk about people
I'll open the door, man. Come on in.
that how do you say that?
There's a few that will come up and help without
Right.
having to be paid or anything. which is
Exactly,
nice.
and that's what we need more
But they're
of.
far
We
and
need
few.
more of that. Exactly. I mean, but what happens is that it pushes people away from that because they're afraid that they may be trying to execute a lesson on a marketplace that is governed by the company that's running the facility.
No, I get that.
And so, but you're right. I mean, we need more people in the community that will take a moment out of their day and go help that person that that basically illustrates where the guy who has more experience came from. Some of those people that I would approach, and not that I have approached, but some of the people.
Hey, so we're not located in Harris. We're located in Bally's.
Oh, yeah,
If you want to
sorry.
come over here, we're just down the road from Harris. If you go past CVS and all that and come into Bally's and go up the ramp, that's where we're located.
So the point that I was trying to get to is that the community as a whole has become elitist, has become pretentious. It's like,
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I get, but again,
but when I was growing up as a kid,
it was easier to be accessible, right?
it was, well,
Or was it still kind of pretentious?
no, it was still kind of pretentious, but at the same time, it's like the affordability of it is I was able to learn how to do it because I had 2 income earning parents.
Right.
So that's why it was more affordable.
2 sticks and duct tape, right?
It was less of a barrier. What's that?
It's a 2 sticks and duct tape, right?
Two sticks and duct tape.
No, we had wire cables. We had wire cables and leather boots. That was my first setup as a kid.
No, I just think it's like especially for a ski resort, if your goal is to say, I want more people on the mountain, right? That's your ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And even if your mountain is really popular, because you have to think about overcrowding right now. Like, is there a point where the mountain gets too crowded?
Oh, yeah.
But if you want people, then shouldn't there be like an industry day where you just say, hey, show up to the mountain and sign up. We'll give you the equipment and we'll give you the first lessons on us.
I mean, there's lots of ways to do it.
Right.
The question is, what are ski resorts willing to do?
And they're not willing to do a whole lot other than lower the ticket price or keep the ticket price low enough, which is not where they're at. I mean,
See, and that's my problem. Is it's what? How much is it now for a daily ticket?
well, it
Oh,
depends.
$259. But you can get, listen, but you can get as a brand new person, because
Okay.
they understand that you're not going to go up onto the mountain. You're going to be stuck on a very, very slight slope.
Right.
You can get the whole package, lesson, rentals, and your lift ticket for less than the cost of a actual lift ticket.
Okay. That's not terrible.
Can you? You can get all equipment, lesson, and access for
Hey, Kevin,
less
take it off me.
for less than $259. Lane, that question was going towards you.
Well, yeah,
Yes,
so
and-
less. So, but it would be less than the ticket price. So if the ticket price is $250, we're talking about less than $250.
You get all those aspects.
Yeah.
I mean, that
that's-
would be great.
That's not. But again, there's a part of that where that's cool.
Yeah.
Right. But again, as an industry of $1 billion company, right?
Multi-billion.
Let's not play
Multi-billion.
around. You own 30-something resorts across the world. You're going to tell me that for one day you can't say, hey, you know what? Mountain's free today.
Yeah.
Come on down.
I mean,
Just as a brand, if you did that as a brand, that's going to stand you out amongst a huge crowd of people, and you're going to be like, wait a minute. Not only did my first ski experience was free, but it was at this great mountain that's now offers a worldwide coverage. Like that's fantastic.
yeah, yes, it would.
Nobody does that.
In theory, that's awesome, right? But
Yeah.
they're not. So the companies are not willing to commit the resources to that for that dollar amount. So Lane, you were saying that boots, bindings,
Rentals,
ollie-
lesson, and lift ticket. I think when the lift tickets are $259, I think the package is $240 for everything,
for everything.
which is still not cheap.
But that's not bad.
exactly.
Is that with tax or?
Oh, who cares?
I
if
think
you're
it's
paying
all
tax?
technically services. I don't think you have to pay tax.
Oh, nice.
see that's
it's
a good
also-
deal.
It is all services.
It's still cheaper than a lift ticket,
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, and it gets them in, and so therefore they, just based upon that little bit, they say that they're allowing accessibility to be attainable on a greater level.
Well, look, it is a snowboard Jesus. Oh,
Snowboard Jesus.
I think that's his actual name.
yeah, it is. He's on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
And
right?
he's also on YouTube.
What's going on, man?
What's going on?
I've never been in a podcast shoot.
Really?
Never. I feel nervous now. Like everything.
No worries, man.
What do you want me to do? I'll sit.
Do you want to take my seat for a little bit?
Oh,
I'll help
sure.
your guys out get some cigars.
Heck yeah, dude.
Here, trade me.
Oh my gosh.
Watch out as you're walking
There's a
through.
bunch of cables and just.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, dude, this is sick.
You want a cigar?
I don't. Okay. Thank you, though.
Yeah, no worries.
Hey guys, we just had a couple people walk in. This is Snowboard Jesus on podcast for the first time.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Yo, it's
Where
good.
are you coming up from?
Truckee.
Truckee?
Chucky.
Oh, you,
Yeah.
You're on
Nice.
TikTok, aren't you?
I am. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Oh, I'm good, thanks.
So this is streaming right now live on YouTube, and we're doing we do Spotify as well.
Cool, dude. Yeah, we talked to the lady at Dottie's. She was like, "Hey, come in here or go call the cigar guys. They're doing a podcast." I was like, "Oh my god, let's hit them up."
Yeah, come on
Dude,
down.
this is awesome. We'll tag you. It's just cigar. It just Snowboard Jesus, or what is it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's snowboard_Jesus. TikTok, I got lucky. Snowboard Jesus. One word.
no
Nice.
underscore.
Yeah, I tried to buy the Instagram name like 2 years ago from this dude, and he was not having it. And now look at me,
Yeah.
1.5 million followers later.
I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I came across some of your videos on YouTube.
That's really cool.
I use some of them as tips and tricks because I'm still learning how to snowboard.
Well, my partner in crime here, Half Cab King, is the tips and tricks guy most of the time. I usually just say like spread butter onto toast.
that's funny.
I have heard that. Yes.
Yeah,
It
which,
works.
Really that that really pisses Half Cab King off.
I can believe
he's a
that.
coach.
Yeah, most of my stuff was self-taught, and then I have this guy over here, Lane. He's been teaching me slowly, and he just started teaching people how to snowboard on Heavenly, so he's learned the progression now. So I'm learning the progression slowly.
That's great.
So Snowboard Jesus, how long ago did you start snowboarding?
Like 2010 was the first, maybe 2009. I took a ski bus from San Jose to Kirkwood,
Nice.
and it was terrible.
That's honest.
Oh my god, I was stuck in
That's
the
a 4-hour
same
bus ride.
patch of snow powder all day, and my brother was yelling at me like, "You go, go, go!" And I'm thinking like, "Dude, I just don't want to be here anymore." Flash forward, a couple years later, I was living here full time, working jobs at Vail, working jobs anywhere I could ski all the time, and then started working overnight shifts so I could literally ski all the time, and then had a family.
So
Oh,
what
nice.
set you down the path of your love for snowboarding?
Ooh, we would ditch school from San Jose, drive up like Thursday, knowing it was going to be empty, and then come back that night.
College or high school?
My man.
High school.
High school.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah, that's
There you go.
dedication. I
And my
understand
buddy's
that.
Mazda Miata 2-seater, we'd be zipping up, like, make sure it's not snowing.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
go.
not a snow vehicle at all. That's
That would.
Where
save
in
you
San
guys.
Jose?
I went to Santa Teresa High School, like south side San
yeah,
Jose.
South. Blossom Hill and Snell.
Dude, I went to, it was Santa Teresa and Snell, but
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
holy smokes.
I'm from the west side. That's from Lee High School.
Oh, yeah, my cousin went to Lee.
Blossom Hill and Lee Avenue.
That's really cool.
Yeah. No, I used to do somewhat of the same thing. Is I'd get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and we'd bump up to like Boreal or Bear Valley, and more Bear Valley than Boreal because I'm a skier. So Bear Valley was just, and we'd go home that same night, and we'd get like home at like 11 o'clock at night, and go back to, fortunately we did it on a weekday. So
Yep.
sometimes we ended up back in school the next day, or we would be doing that into the weekend. And it's like, okay, and the weekend's all about homework, getting it done.
Yeah, I think maybe fortunately for me, but like unfortunately for my grandpa, homework was never on the totem pole of like importance. Yeah.
You guys seem
Yeah.
to be doing pretty well, though.
Yeah, now. Yeah, now I'm 29, and for quite a bit of time, it wasn't
Dude,
that way.
it takes a while. I'm 32. I just started my career recently working with kids. Never thought I would, but I mean, here I am.
That's awesome. And you coach or?
No, so I'm a youth detention facility instructor, counselor, essentially.
So like
Trouble
kid
youth.
jail?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't think I would be there. I
So
thought
what-
it was weird.
So what industry are you in now?
Ooh, content creation.
There you
I
go.
create content.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like wholesome, heartwarming videos, that are, I think, relatable to people who have seen people doing triple corks and,
Helping out kids on the snow.
yeah, it's kind of like just showing what 99% of snowboarding actually is
Got it.
instead of, Zeb Powell, who's like a superhero. I think watching that is harder to be like, oh, I'm going to do that one day, as opposed to, helping out someone.
Yeah, just getting on
So
the mountain,
you
having a
get
good time.
you get the rudimentary skills out into the ether for people to go, okay, this is how I'm going to do this, or this is how I'm going to progress to that level.
I'd like to think that.
Yeah,
I
nice.
get an insane amount of DMs a day. Like I snowboarded for the first time today because of you, and it's literally like 10 to 15 a day. It's been almost a year that I haven't worked a real job. No, sorry, it's been a little over a year since I haven't worked a real job.
How's that?
There you go.
Oh man, well it is hard. It's a lot of work. You guys, I'm sure, know some editings and oh man, dude, like sleepless nights. The feeling of a viral video, you're like, okay, let's keep that going. It's
And it's
a lot
got-
of pressure.
It's got to be encouraging to get the DMs.
Oh yeah, and I do comb through every one of them. And if you guys know Instagram, they hide a lot. That you have to go in a hidden spot. That's where like business DMs come from. Like a ton of freaking companies end up in there. They want to work with you. So, I comb through them all.
I
Now-
feel
Nice.
I
How
feel
old-
like we should introduce ourselves first, because it's been a while. So that one's Will.
Will,
Good to
I'm
meet you.
Jamil.
Jamil.
He's Casey,
Let's go.
Where's
left.
Casey?
Over here.
Oh, what's up, Casey?
the one that you took the seat from, which is fine, is Lane,
Hi, Lane.
and I'm Kevin.
Kevin, where's Kevin? Okay,
Kevin's
you're
right
Kevin.
there.
Sorry, on the screen he raised
yeah.
his hand.
I'm Will.
Yeah.
I'm Will.
That's Will.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at me and like we could point him out, but yeah, I figure we get introductions out of the way because I mean we don't know each other all that well. You just came in, you found our podcast somehow, which is awesome.
What is it? The girl at Dottie's?
Yeah, the girl that dies ratted you out, dude.
Nice.
She gave us punk directions though. We were like yelling up. We were like, "Hey!" above the strip club. We were like,
That's
what are you
funny.
doing out
Yes,
here?
Harris is down the way. I think that's where you guys went for the elevator and all that, right?
No, I think they were at the Roaring 20s.
At the Roaring Twenties.
Yeah.
I could believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you started snowboarding?
So my math is bad. So I said 2009.
9?
Okay, I was born in '94.
Okay, so 15, 16?
Yeah, about 15. I think the
94?
first
Yeah.
time I ever went, I was a little younger. I went with my older brother, and that was the Kirkwood time. So
Yeah.
I don't consider that the start of my snowboarding.
No?
Right.
It was about to be the end of my snowboarding.
Okay.
Kind of
Fair
like
enough.
me. I started at 15, and then I didn't get back on the board until 2 years ago now.
Okay, cool. Well,
It's
that's cool that
interesting.
you're back.
Trying to figure it out, and now that I'm older, I'm like a little bit. It takes me a while to recover.
Yeah, I didn't mean to pepper you with a whole bunch of questions, but I appreciate the answers that you've given.
Oh, of course, dude. Like, you know, it's great to be in the position I feel like I'm in now, compared to a year ago or 2 or 3. I've actually been sober now for 5 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, you've.
You know, and I think like nothing in my life is worse than when I was drinking.
Well,
That's like a
we got a veteran over there.
veteran.
Yes, of sobriety.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. How many years?
In February, it will be
36?
39.
39.
Dude, holy
Yeah.
smokes, bro. That's dope.
It is a
Yeah.
truck for him too. It was at the beginning, right?
God. It's funny. So moving right along, or getting back to what we were talking about before, we were talking about accessibility, making the sports accessible to the new people. I determined, and we were talking about it, but I determined that the powers that be, such as large corporations like Vail or Icon, or not so much Icon, but the different mountains, their answer to more accessibility is lowering the price or having an attainable price, but is it really that attainable? I mean, if you think about it, we were just talking, if you think about it, during crunch time, or what do they call that? Peak. During peak time, the mountain is $259 to go if you don't buy in advance, right? If you're just a walk-up person, you know, and most people who are being introduced and we're trying to be accessible to, right, can't afford a $259 ticket on top of rentals, you know, and then maybe instruction, right? So now you're at $500. Well, you're probably at $400, right?
Yep.
So the good news is that one of our podcasters, Lane, teaches, and he was just informing us that you can get a lift ticket, you can get your equipment rentals all the way around, and a lesson for less than a peak price ticket, and I think it runs around $240.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, but if we think about a lot of the people that well, not a lot of the people, but most of the people that are coming up, that's a stretch for them to pay that on a daily basis. You know, unless you're coming from Silicon Valley where there's money galore, you know, where people are just coughing up money because they're in the technology industry. I mean, so we're getting back to what is accessible. You know, what is that level of accessibility? Is it $150? Is it $200? You know, that's a question that I don't really
I
have an
think
answer
the
for.
easiest thing that I would think is like basically either renting your boots and bindings and your board or getting your boots and bindings and your board and having a buddy that knows a lot or pretty well and going into it.
I'm more curious because of what you do. So my contention is the money's a barrier to entry for sure, but the bigger barrier to entry in what we do is the culture itself, right? Like we're really hard on people learning to ski and snowboard.
I agree.
To a point where we've nicknamed him Jerry.
Or kook,
Or
which
kook, yeah.
personally like bums me out to see someone getting bullied essentially for just trying. It's like the senior freshman paradox, where a senior bullies a freshman just for existing, and so the cycle continues where it's like get off this part of my hill, I totally see that because really, Epic has the Tahoe local pass, right? Which if you ski 40 days and you live here, it's $600 or $500 when it drops, which is as cheap as it could get. And I was skiing 120 days on a $600 pass.
Right.
Quick math, that's like $5 a day or something like that.
Yeah, but
which-
it wasn't just that. What's the cost of your board? What's the cost
So,
of your learning experience?
That's, the typical person will ride 10 to 15, maybe 20 days a year, the avid skier.
Right.
Right. My snowboard boots last about 160 days.
yeah,
Okay.
a season.
Okay. A season for me, potentially 10 years for someone who rides 15 days a year.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think it's all different. Like if you ride 120 days a year, it's a no-brainer to buy a pass. And then not be kicking yourself in the butt when the day pass is $279. And, it used to be a lot cheaper at Boreal.
Right.
You could go there. I remember having my board taken from Boreal, 5 minutes walking into the freaking lodge, and my board was gone. And
wow.
that was years ago, and it was cheap. And I always thought, I think I appreciate the high pass price. Because in my opinion, my board's not getting stolen at North Star. My board's not getting stolen at, Palisades.
Right.
It's just I don't think it'll get stolen now at Boreal either, because the pass prices, day passes have gone up, and I'm not sure what I'm actually saying there. Right? I don't want to, but I'm saying passes, dude, are probably the way to go for anybody who skis over 10 days a year.
So you're
Or
happy
even
about
over
the security.
5. Or even over 5
Oh,
days.
even over
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
or 3 sometimes,
Yeah,
right? Like,
honestly, a holiday weekend pays for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
No, the money isn't my concern. Like it is, but it's not.
yeah.
I like to see someone in the business who's addressing the culture itself. Not that I don't have appreciation for ski and snowboard culture generally, but it's really, so I learned late. Like I learned when I was 30.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to push around at 30 though. Right? So like, my friends are all like, I'm gonna teach you. Never showed up. So I basically just hiked up a mountain and fell down a bunch to learn to snowboard. Right? So I'm 6'2", almost 6'3", 240 pounds, and I'm on a boulder. It's like my 3rd day ever. Just completely fucking shit the bed getting off the chair. Stumble, board twirls around me. I look like a complete buffoon. There's a guy sitting on a bench with his girlfriend, pointing and laughing at me. Now for me, like I stand up and look at him, and he goes, "Sorry, man." But for a lot of people, that's a really shitty experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
For
nice
sure.
to see someone who's trying to make it, like trying to ease the entry on the cultural side.
Yep. That's thank you. For like that, because that's kind of like our whole shtick. Me and Half Cab King, we started a company called Shred Happy, that's literally promoting positivity in sports. It transcends ski, snowboarding. I met a dude in the lift line. He's like, dude, I've been trying to be nicer to people in surfing because of your videos. And I'm a sap. Like I get emotional over silly things. Me and my son are watching a movie, and he's like, are those happy tears or sad tears?
Nice.
And I love that because, that's exactly what I think we're doing. And I don't know if you guys are aware of what happened at the X Games last year.
No.
Okay, so Half Cab King got invited to do a TikTok live. At the time, biggest snowboarding account on TikTok on the planet. So it made sense. And who was his plus one? Me. Stony McBlaze, if you guys have ever heard of him. He's hilarious. Check him out. he just goes and makes, stoner videos about snowboarding. He's like, "Sup, shred lords." Either way, they saw how many fans I had there. I didn't get paid a cent to be there. They handed me a mic as soon as I walked up in front of the crowd because they were going ape. Next day, Todd Richards, goes on and he's like, "I don't know why the X Games is bringing all these, clowns, I think, and I go on. And I grew up poor. I grew up not thinking about snowboarding. I wasn't watching the X Games when I was young. The most I saw of snowboarding was Shaun White.
Okay.
So I go on, and I was just getting traction on Instagram and stuff, and I say, man, I don't know really who you are."
Right on.
Okay.
Right on.
But 20 years ago, you would have loved Stony McBlaze.
Right.
Is about the gist, and the amount of absolute hatred and seriously death threats that I was receiving for not knowing who Todd Richards was astonishing.
Wow.
But ultimately, it was the angry snowboarder who really blew me up. Seriously, everybody and their moms was hashtagging and adding Snowboard Jesus for a solid month, and I grew 500,000 followers on Instagram that month.
Wow.
So thank you guys. I was just trying to be happy and positive at the X Games, and it turned into I thought I was gonna have to do PR and stuff, and it's just me, and seriously changed my life in the best way.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's ultimate karma, right? Ultimate is I'm doing positive things and trying to be improving the community of snow sports, right? And you get just hazed, and yet it blows you up on Instagram. It's funny because if more people, all of it, anybody in the community would just stand up and say, "Hey, we need to help out the new guy," right? You want to talk about increase the interest and popularity of snow sports? It would just be off the hook. The unfortunate part is, how do we get the large corporations to foster that environment?
I have a partnership currently right now with Vail. With Epic.
Okay.
I'm the first ever content creator to be paid for making content for them ever. That's why I'm here. I'm my son. They put him in a lesson, and I recorded it and mic'd his teacher up and just showed what a lovely experience getting a lesson is, and really. That, to me, is a step in the right direction. Last year, they were working with content creators on a trade basis where they would say, "Hey, we'll give you some season passes, maybe a couple nights stay somewhere, you make videos." I can't feed my family with passes.
Right.
This is my job. And so they're really understanding that. And seriously, it's been a great partnership in all directions. They've let me do my thing, also wanting me to, talk about the past and how it works better for people. I'm not trying to make this a plug at all because this is.
It's all good, man. We're just a bunch of
it's
guys.
relevant to the conversation.
We're just a bunch of guys
every
smoking
mountain plug.
cigars and talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every mountain usually gets a plug from us if we're thinking about
Sooner or
it.
later.
Oh, well, I will say thank you guys for letting us come into this podcast. We were jumping dude, this is going to be sick.
Not a problem.
Just a couple of guys
Glad
come
to have
together on a one day and hang out because we don't get to hang out as much as we used to. We all used to work somewhere in this corridor except for him. He was a local that just kept coming in, and we knew him for a while. So then we started. They got this shop. Then we just started a podcast because we wanted to see if we couldn't get some growth coming to the shop and try and have fun. At least come together, talk, see what's going on with each other. It was nice.
That is cool. I like that. And I'm fortunate to be next door neighbors to Half Cab King, who
Nice.
literally taught me everything I know. I was watching him supporting himself. I was like, I want to do that. So I was working a full-time job overnight and being Snowboard Jesus by day. It took a heavy toll on my life and like my marriage even, because I was, had very little left to give to my family at the end of the day,
Right.
mentally. But as soon as it started, working out and I was able to not work as much and then ultimately not at all, now I'm like always there for my kids
Yeah.
to pick them
Yeah.
up
Your
and
persistence,
drop them off.
your persistence
That's
at what you
awesome.
liked allowed you to have more of that family time.
Yeah, it's amazing. Seriously amazing. So
Yeah, I think I just saw one of your videos. You gave a kid like your helmet cover.
yeah, that was my
'Cause
favorite
He didn't
video.
have
saw
one.
that one.
Yeah, he didn't have one, and so you just gave him the one you had because it was like dumping snow.
It was like 4 degrees in Telluride.
Yeah.
And it was gnarly, and like that video specifically is my favorite of all time because that was like one of 2 ever made by Functionware. They
Yeah.
made that for me. When I told her I had a bunch, knowing she wanted me to take it back, I was like, I have a bunch. I'm just gonna give it to him. Who wants it was just amazing experience, and his mom sent me a DM of them on a chairlift this year with the mask on.
Nice. Very cool.
It was huge. That was a huge one because
Yeah.
you didn't know. I didn't know. I just went home and I was like, "This is huge. I'm gonna edit this up." And to get negative feedback is natural,
Right.
But to get a DM from like someone who's like, "Yo, I know this kid and blah blah blah. I don't appreciate you posting that," is a different beast altogether because then you're like, well, I'm allowed to, but ethically, should I? You know what I mean? Should I take it down? If you're on the ski hill, you're allowed to be recorded. If you have a pass, if you have a day pass, and so that's happened a couple times, but not with that video.
No,
that's
for
really
sure.
special.
Yeah. That's priceless.
Yeah. It was seriously great. I think we're going to probably hit the road here, guys, but Dave, did you want to hop in? Okay.
Come on
All right.
down. Yeah.
Introducing Half Cab King.
Oh.
You may know him from videos as pushing kids over in the snow.
Just
It's
talk
just
about changing
playful
culture
banter.
in this guy.
So watch out for the cables, guys. Appreciate that.
Oh my gosh, I'm sweating.
That's
That's this place, the podcast, High
Well-
Sierra. The podcast is the Daily Torch.
welcome to
Daily
the
Torch.
Welcome to the
You guys
Daily
have an
Torch.
Instagram
Half
as
Cab
well?
Cab.
We do. We have an Instagram. We have a YouTube, a Spotify. We're working on a couple other things, but it's going to take us a minute. You know how it works, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of time and effort into that kind of
It
stuff.
is.
Well, you got to put effort into things you love doing.
So, like I said, the guy behind the counter is Casey. The one in the chair is Will. I'm Kevin, and you are
Dave.
Dave. Nice to meet you, Dave.
Otherwise
Cab
known as
King.
Half Cab King.
Half Cab King.
Now, how did you come up with Half Cab King?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
So actually, none of this was like, I never thought like this was all happen, obviously. But I took a cruise, and the only way to get in contact with this chick was to have Instagram.
Nice.
So 2015, I downloaded Instagram, and
Just created a bullshit account.
yeah.
trying to chase it.
Exactly.
Turning this up.
Yeah. My buddies used to tell me I was the king of half cabs. And I was like, oh, half cab king.
Perfect.
That doesn't sound bad.
Perfect.
Why not?
Let's
It's
do
a
it.
good. It's a good tag. It's a
Yeah.
good tag.
It was
You
a good
never thought
choice.
you'd be putting it on T-shirts when you made it, probably.
No, I tried to keep it off t-shirts. Yeah.
What's the little thing on your?
This logo right here, I created this logo going across country. Me and my grandmother, she's like a big part of the snowboarding with me in my life. I was like, I grew a following. I started to get over 1 million followers. And I was like, okay, I don't want to create like a merch company. I want to create something that means more to me. I want to create a community. And
Nice.
and it was just like, what is this community about? Positivity, shredding, being happy. And my grandmother came up with the name Shred Happy.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so after that, I left and drove cross country with my buddy, and I was just doodling. I'm like, we need to come up with an idea for the logo of this company. And so this was the logo, and That's it. Yeah, that's the
So-
end
I
of
mean,
it.
it looks like an awesome logo so far. I mean, I just saw it and it caught my eye right away.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to keep it easy. I just wanted to show, some goggles. I don't know. I feel like the shred community itself is more than just snowboarding. But yeah, this is a good, simple, easy logo.
There's a way that it can come together real easy to help out other people, and I've seen it through you guys' videos. And it's nice to see that that's what you did. That's what you wanted it to be, and it to actually work out and be something more for you and your family and all that.
Yeah. I think the community aspect of it is huge. When I grew up in snowboarding, it was like, if you're not making fun of people or hollering at people that aren't doing it right, leather jackets, like really grunge, like you weren't part of the community.
You mean Levi's and leather jackets?
Yeah, exactly.
That's when I got started.
And slick back hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want
Yeah.
slick back hair, you didn't have the cool kids.
No,
The
no
greasers of
helmet.
the 90s.
Yeah, the gracers for sure.
So let me ask you. You said you drove across country, right?
Yeah.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Vermont originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and Grandma were driving out here?
No, well, my grandparents live in Vermont,
Okay.
where I'm from, and I was just coming back here. I was just a trip home.
Gotcha.
And when I first moved out here, I was already teaching. I'd been teaching for a long time, 17 years, and
Teaching
snowboarding,
snowboarding. Okay.
teaching, coaching, stuff
All
like
right,
that.
so-
Yeah, man, because the powder's much better on the West Coast than it is on the East Coast.
Well, wait, he's shaking his head no, but he goes,
That's just a shake of
That's the
just,
whiskey you guys got.
fair enough, fair enough.
He's like, no, yeah, no.
That's funny.
So you've done, where have you snowboarded? What are the different locations?
Oh, I mean, I grew up in Vermont, so I was all over Vermont from like Mount Snow, Jay Peak, Okemo was my home
a
resort.
lot of snow there.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, not really a lot of snow. A lot of ice.
A lot of ice.
Oh,
If we got snow, it was great, and I remember the days that we did have snow too. So,
How often were you sharpening your edges?
all the time. Yeah, for sure.
Day in and day out, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I
yeah.
love the pipe, so the pipe was all ice.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be. So where else?
So Vermont, Colorado, Washington, California, Utah. I've been to South Korea and Japan.
Nice.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
How
Pretty
was
much
Japan?
everywhere. Japan was amazing.
Wasn't it off
I think
the,
that's
yeah.
one of his dream snowboarding places over there.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, there was a guy who was a assistant general manager of one of the hotels. He was Japanese, Ken, and he keeps teasing us, like, come hang out, like, I've got your stay,
20-foot powder days and stupid amounts of snow.
I have spent most of my career working for casinos where vacation isn't a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Japan's amazing. I went there last year. The city of Sapporo sent me out there, and by far the best experience I've ever had in my life, I think.
Sweet.
I mean, the people are so nice. And we were staying in Sapporo where it's like the city is right on the water, and then there's the mountains right behind it, and there's like 6, 7 resorts.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, you can go from the city to the resort very easily, but they just had so much powder. And we had this great interpreter guy who was also bringing us around. His name was Kay, and he like took us to the old Olympic parts of the area where it was just like the best powder runs of my life. I mean, it was insane, absolutely insane.
So have you ever done Revelstoke?
No, I've never been to Revelstoke.
Kicking horse?
Nope, never been to
Okay,
Kicking
so I
Horse.
was reading a article the other day, and they were saying that the powder up there is phenomenal, right? But they said Japan. You got to go to Japan because Japan's snow or powder makes Utah and Colorado look like Sierra cement.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was blower. It was just in your face.
But you snowboard out here,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then Japan. No, and I'm just saying, and Japan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you've snowboarded also in Park City in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Compare the 3 snows.
Well, I would say it just gets lighter as you go
Yeah.
to east, from Japan.
Okay.
Japan's just super light. It doesn't matter if you're in 5 feet of snow, you can just kind of push it around. You can still get on top of it. The steepness of the areas that I was in were amazing. As you go towards, California, A little bit heavier, still steeper, especially if you go to places around here like Squaw, Alpine, stuff like that. And then as you get to, Utah, Colorado, I would say it's similar, also maybe a little heavier. Depends on the area I think you're in, probably.
Right.
So
Well, we're only 125 miles or 250 miles from the Pacific Ocean
roughly.
here, so it's got to be a lot heavier in moisture, right?
Oh, here is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on the day. for sure.
But then the progression, would you say, is Colorado, then Park City, then Japan? As far as from heavy to light?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, the days that I've experienced in Utah have been pretty light. I would say it wasn't the steep stuff I was looking for.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a challenge when it comes to steep stuff.
Yeah.
Although Powder Mountain, from what I skied Powder Mountain back in the 70s, and it was just sweet and off the hook. We actually hit a 3-foot powder day
Oh, wow.
back there. Yeah, it was.
How was that?
Oh my God, it was one of my best trips. I mean, that I remember as a kid. I'm in high school back in the 70s, and we hopped on a bus and all the way out to Powder Mountain. Actually, we went out to Solitude and Aspen and Snowbird first, and then we ended up at Powder Mountain. A buddy of mine was from Ogden, and he goes, "You got to come with me." So we split from the bus crowd, and we went up to his parents' place, and we slept the night there. And the next morning, it was like 3 feet of powder up on Powder Mountain. So the steeps weren't really there, but you could just go forever on a cloud, and it was just it was phenomenal.
That's the best.
But now my favorite place is Park City, because of the Epic Pass, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, not obviously, but because of the Epic Pass. But what I really want to do is get back to Snowbird and Alta and see what it's like over there, because that's just a different side of the mountain range, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've visited Snowbird or Alta or Solitude.
I haven't. I've just been to Park City.
Okay.
And I really want to go and take a split board up Deer Valley.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
I'm curious.
You know what? I have a feeling they know that.
Yeah.
Deer Valley is a.
I plan on not telling them what I do.
Well, of course not.
They got posters of you everywhere. Like, catch this guy if you see him.
So I mean, you can actually access. It's not a big. It's somewhat well known in the industry, but it's not really popularized or let known that you can actually drop from the top of McConkeys along the ridge, and if you got to drop at the right time. But if you drop at the right time, you're going to end up in Deer Valley territory, and you can catch one of their lifts up. But you can't get back. That's the other part, is you can't get back from Deer Valley over to Park City. So I'm telling secrets out of school here. So,
I'll take an Uber for that ride.
yeah, sure. Yeah, what's the Uber? $20?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course I would.
darn.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh darn.
So were you here last year when the snow came down?
Yeah, this last year was the most insane winter I think I've.
Yeah.
probably
How was
been
that for
around.
you?
Oh my gosh, it was
Because
unreal.
you were probably on the mountain every day, pretty much.
Every day, I think I got 123 days last year.
What's your mountain?
We live on North Star.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that your mountain then?
that's my mountain because I live there. Yeah.
Okay. But Squaw and Alpine are more, you're just like, okay, we're going there because
I really love Squaw's terrain.
Yes.
Yeah, Squaw's just
I lived
unreal.
in Olympic Valley during the early 80s.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
Oh, it was off the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew, I couldn't tell you today if I walked up on him, but back then I knew Stein Erickson. I knew who he was. And what's the other guy that basically developed Squaw Palisades?
McConkey?
No. Older guy. One of the guys that built
Polson?
Polson. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Walked by him many times in the bar.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on snow since 1965.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like after a while, I lived in Olympic Valley, and played there, and lived on the West Shore and played at Homewood, and lived. You might appreciate this. I don't know. So one of the first places that I got to learn how to ski was ski incline.
Really?
Yeah, and it was $7 for a ticket. My dad blew his stack because it was $7 for, and
It's a lot back then.
but yeah, it was a lot. But my mom goes, "Hey, this is the cheapest babysitter we'll find." So I ended up over there, and then one of our friends' son knew how to ski, and so they brought him along with us on a family trip, and we just started lapping. Skiing climb. Is it still? It's not skiing climb anymore.
Diamond Peak.
Diamond Peak, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, I have stories like that that go way back, but yeah.
That place is beautiful. I think, I've been to Homewood and Heavenly and stuff like that. I feel like Diamond Peak just has like some of the best views.
And it's such a quiet. It's like nobody knows about Diamond Peak.
Yeah, we'll keep this whole part out of this.
But it's not really. It's not that they don't know about it. It's just that it doesn't have the variety of challenges like Squaw or like Mount Rose.
Well, then if you're driving that way, you're going to North Star.
True. Well,
Yeah.
You're like, we're already halfway there. Let's just go to North Star. All right, let's go to North Star. I think that's why they like Diamond Peak, especially when they live out there, because they know everyone's going to drive right on by, and
Well,
you're going to
and-
go to North Star, and you're not going to go to Diamond Peak.
well, yeah. I mean, and the other part about Diamond Peak is it's supported by the Public Utilities District of Incline.
Yeah.
So, anyway. What are you reading there, Half Cap?
I'm looking at the screen. I'm just,
No.
your guys' setup is absolutely amazing. Who's doing the videos? Who picks where the video looks and stuff like that?
Oh, you got Kevin's
Camera
got the
guy's
switcher.
over there.
Yeah.
I got the switch.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I switch cameras for whoever's talking.
Yeah.
Lane is the one that sets up the cameras, and pretty much we all set up the audio
Okay.
of where we're going to be. Usually Will's over there now. That's where we permanently put him. I'm here. Lane's there. We might switch. We're debating because they want me to be able to see. So, like, if something funny happens over here, I can just shoot it over there instead of
Yeah.
just going, just one laid face.
Yeah, this is a great setup.
So besides the live podcast that we do, we also do a cigar review and a whiskey review. And we post that on our channel as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah. It's
I love this. Is a great little space, and you guys. You guys all seem to have a great attitude and
No, we try, man.
great voices.
I don't know about
Some
me.
ASMR
Well, wait a minute.
over here.
Where are the crickets?
Only you
has
get the crickets over there, buddy. Only
our
you get the
soundboard guy.
crickets here.
So Casey has Casey has control of the sound effects.
That's great. That's funny. Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. I was listening to what you guys were saying about like keeping snowboarding like
Accessible.
Exactly.
Oh, and our topics go all over the place, too.
I feel like originally when my content started, I haven't talked about this too much. Is like I used to be a snowboard instructor, and what I would do is on my off days when I first moved out to Tahoe, it was something I learned back home was to like go out and meet people on the hill because I was a new instructor. I wouldn't get all the lessons, right?
Right.
But I had been teaching at that point for like 10 plus years, and the resort that I was previously at, they would give us a bunch of bonuses because it wasn't owned by a corporate company.
Right.
Like 50 cents here, 50 cents there. Every 60 hours of work, 50 cents. Every year you come back, 50 cents. You get an extra, you get a private lesson or a private request, $20 an hour on top. So when I got out here, it wasn't the same. So what I would do is I would go out on the hill and I would just give, random lessons to people. I'd see people in need, and what I would do is I would go out and I'd say, hey, can I give you a tip? And they'd be like, sure, and I would help improve their riding a little bit within a few minutes. And then I would upsell a lesson. I would be in my jacket. And that was just kind of how this all started. And I started doing it in my off time, just randomly. I'd see people, and I feel like that feeling of like teaching someone, helping them getting a little better, like not only would it help them, they would see it, and they would like fall in love with it. It seems like almost instantly, but
They get excited.
it would also do something for myself where I was like, oh my gosh, this feels great.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know who it was that made the analogy of it's like freshman and senior situation. So what we need to do is we need to get the seniors to go help out the freshmen
Yeah.
and do basically a what kind of a change is that?
It's a culture change.
Yeah, but there's also there's a word for not a dichotomy. I'll get it.
We'll come back to you.
Appreciate that because it's not going to come real quick.
So, what made you decide you wanted to film this and start doing a channel?
Yeah, so I was 2015. I started to get into making videos and stuff like that. Originally, 2010, I was into YouTube, and I was always watching YouTube, and I would watch pranks and stuff like that. Roman Atwood, Vitaly ZDTV,
Oh, yeah.
stuff like that. And then it kind of got into the vlog scene, and I just learned like all these things that these guys were doing just by watching them. And Casey Neistat started to come around, and I was like, oh man, I could make some videos. He inspired me, and so I started making videos, and 5-6 years went by, nobody really watched them at all.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened. I started making shorts,
There you go.
and that's when everybody starting to watch, I guess.
Not much on TV, so they were looking for anything they could.
Exactly.
Oh, I mean, well, now there's so much content out there. You're just like, what do I want to watch? You can find it.
Right.
And
I was snowboarding every day, so it was like I want to take a camera with me.
or might as well.
Yeah, 360 cameras came out. I found Insta360 on Amazon, and they were like a small company at the time. And I just started, making videos with this Insta360, and people were like, oh, I've never seen this view. They started watching. Probably the first like 3-4 videos, nobody ever really watched. But then it started to click on because it was just like stuff I was doing already on the hill. I was helping people. I was pretending to fall. I was just like doing random stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really when like the wholesome snowboarding started. I feel like this whole new side of snowboarding, I guess, it hadn't been seen before, like people being on the hill and just having random interactions or helping people out or just like doing what they do. I guess me doing what I did, and from there it just kind of started to blossom, and I started to learn the algorithm, and I started to like really deep dive into all this and know the creators and know the people coming up and try to help them and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's where it all started, really. And Jamil's been my best friend, Snowboard Jesus. He's been one of my best friends for 8-9 years, and he was there with me every night. And as things started to really grow, he was like the one person that didn't like treat me differently or wasn't trying to like
Kept being a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to do this, and so we came up with the idea of Snowboard Jesus, and started teaching him how to use the camera. I gave his son a camera because he had like 8-9 million views, which at the time was huge for me,
Right.
And over the course of the last couple of years, his page has been able to blossom, and we've been able to learn together and grow together and really like create this community of like people that are just all about positivity and having fun out there and breaking down the barriers of entry and being able to create Shred Happy.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of positivity out there. You just got to find it. Like,
Exactly.
I would, 2009, 2010, when I was starting to learn, I was crashing a lot. I had one guy that came up, said I was doing it this way. I need to work on it and shift my weight because I was skateboarding a little bit back then, and like I like to sit back. Most skateboarders do.
Yeah.
Weight in the back. I didn't know I needed to lean forward and center my weight. And like I tried to lean forward, and I leaned forward too much. So I caught the edge on the front. But it's a learning experience, and to have people come up randomly to guide you is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you got to break that fear barrier.
You really do.
That's what's stopping people, right? Is like, oh, I'd love to go, like it looks so cool, but that learning experience is going to be not the fun.
I think
like you're going to fall on your face, you're going to fall on your head, and you're going to hit a tree every now and then. But you need to learn how to get back up, and the people on the mountain have all been there. So I think that's what some people forget is that you didn't know how to snowboard when you were a kid. You had to learn. You fell down a lot. Just because someone else is doing it, like, go over. Say, hey, man, I got you. Let me show you how to do this.
So at a young age, I don't think it was a fear of falling. It was a fear of being made fun of and being picked on. It was one of those things, kind of like in high school. Like you're freshman, you just get there. You're worried about the hazing more than anything. It's not the fear of going and, like, getting good grades, making a lot of friends. It was the fear of being made fun of.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing when you're a kid. As an adult, you're like, I fell down. I'll get back up. I've learned this. It's all about getting back up and doing what you need to move forward and progress.
Yeah. Yeah, just people need positivity and like reinforcement out there, I feel like.
And the culture sort of changed. It's no longer like snowboarders versus skiers. Like it's still there, but it's not there as much as it was. Like we're all on the mountain together, right? We're all there to have fun. Like that's the most important thing. Is, are you smiling? Are you fun? You know. So what if you can only hit like the blues? You can't hit the black diamonds. Just have fun with it.
I can admit,
do
I'm still
what you
hitting
got.
greens.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that 80% of first-time snowboarders never go after day one. You know,
Is it really that high?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's something there, and it's like, for me personally, you know, I taught for resorts for 17 seasons, and to be able to see like, you know, so many people come and go, and just like kind of how they were treated, you know, as an employee and stuff like that, and the ones that are like super dedicated, super good at it, you know, it gets to a point in their career where it's just like not really worth it, I guess, to continue. And then you get these new people to continuously come in every season from a different country, learn how to snowboard, then teach it.
Or
And then-
J1s.
Yeah, exactly. J1s. Not to knock that. I think that's a great program.
Yeah.
But to like have people continuously come back to then represent the sport and teach you, I can't say that they have, you know, the same amount of passion about the sport or knowledge about the sport. And that's kind of something that like lacks. And I just feel like being out there, something that I've noticed about, like, I teach people every day when I'm on the hill. I don't always film it and I don't always post it.
Yeah.
But something that I can say for sure is like people only need a couple things. You know, if someone's doing something wrong and you're able to see if they're, you know, a visual learner, if you're able to tell them how to do it, kinesthetic, or whatever the learning type is. If you're able to like find that out real quickly and then just be able to give them a couple tips and then them have the best day ever after that and then just learn how to ride or fall in love with it, like that's the best. And that's the best feeling. And I feel like so many people can do that.
Yeah, I'm a kinesthetic learner, so crashing is a big thing for me. That's how I learn.
That's
a lot
awesome.
of accidents, a lot of, like, my first time snowboarding was I was going down, I think it was Boulder.
Yeah.
And I hit this patch of ice, slid, and then I caught the front edge, twisted, flew in the air, and then slammed my back on the chairlift. And I'm like, all right, well, I learned what not to do. Let's see what the next thing is.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Snowboarding's brought so much to my life, I feel like. And I can't thank it enough.
Yeah, it sounds
glad
like
it's-
it.
I'm glad it's worked out for you, man.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks.
glad that you came into the shop and we can have this conversation.
Yeah,
too.
this has been great. I mean, you guys have an absolutely amazing setup.
Nice.
And this seems so great and so easy and flowing to be able to chat with you guys.
Oh yeah.
But we try
Awesome,
to.
thank you.
It used to be a little
Appreciate that.
different in this shop. We've opened it up for sure a lot more because we used to have like the first owner had like shelves in front of the window so you couldn't see in. We had those 4 chairs there, right here, and then we had like jerseys in the back, so it almost looked like a swap meet. Not gonna lie. But now that we've opened it up, can have more people in here. It helps the flow of conversation.
Yeah.
It helps people actually communicate more. So like, we even move because we had the chairs back there, so it separated them. So we moved them forward, put those
High tops.
tables back there, the high tops. So if you want a personal conversation, you go there.
Oh, cool.
But right here, it makes it more personal. We can actually have a conversation. We can cause that flow of like different ideas.
Yeah.
And back in the 40s, 50s, cigar shop was your social media back then. So I mean, just to have that come back to where we can sit down, put the phones down, disconnect, actually have a conversation is amazing because nowadays conversation isn't really there anymore because most of the time you'll see people just on their phones no matter what, where they're at, kitchen table, dining areas, out on the casino floor, even if they're playing like slots, they're on their phone, just going like this. It's mind numbing at that point.
Yeah.
And that's what happens a lot. So to be able to get out, go to different places like this, go to the snowboard, go do that, it opens up your horizons and gets you to make more friends, meet new people, have those interactions.
Yeah.
So it
this
builds
is
a lot
great.
more.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having us on. for
Yeah.
sure.
So here's a quick question, and maybe you've already covered it by when I went out. But where do you teach?
I don't teach.
Oh, you don't?
No, so I stopped.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Now the social media is
He
around.
did 17 seasons teaching.
Yeah,
Now
I-
he's into something new.
Yeah.
Was it all on the East Coast, or was it out here as well?
No, so my whole thing with winter started when I was 3. my grandmother worked at a ski resort.
Nice.
Yeah, she was head of the cafe.
Okay.
And she had me in ski school every weekend.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Yeah.
So that was your babysitter.
Yeah, exactly. That was everyone's way, right?
Grandma's babysitting you, which
And then-
means the ski school is babysitting you.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, she would get off of work. My grandfather worked with her, and we would go to the bar afterwards, and they'd have me hang out with them. You know, and I could see the ski industry. When everybody had gone home from the ski resort at night, I would like go around the whole lodge and look to see what people had left. You know, and just
Yeah,
like
lots of
yeah.
try to find some cool stuff.
There is a lot.
Yeah, there was.
Oh,
Man, it
no,
was
there's-
crazy.
Hey, my dad
Still
worked,
today.
My dad worked heavenly for a season. I got so much stuff. It was so nice.
Yeah, the Lost and Found shop was definitely like my go-to to get new gear and stuff like that for a while.
Of course.
But yeah, at 10 years old, they started allowing snowboarding on the hill, which was, you know, the hype. I feel like the anticipation to this happening was like so big
Oh,
that
yeah.
I couldn't not snowboard, right?
Right.
So the first day that it was allowed, I went out there, I got a lesson. I absolutely loved it with my friends. And she bought me a snowboard. And then every weekend I was in a lesson. I was just in love with it.
Because Grandma still worked with for the company.
Yeah. So
So you skied first?
yeah. So I skied from 3 to 10.
Okay.
And then from 10 years old on,
Nice.
I snowboarded. At 16, I started. My grandmother left the ski resort. At 16, I needed to figure out a way to get a pass. My parents were too poor to really afford it. So I started working at the resort, and I would take the bus up at 5 a.m., get there at 7,
Yep.
wait to work at 8, and then at the end of the day, it would end at 4. I would try to get a couple laps in once I ended.
First chair, last chair.
Exactly. I was like teaching the little kids, and then by the time their lesson was done, it was like 3:15. 45 minutes was mine, you know. And then I did that until I was 19. My dad told me I couldn't make snowboarding a living, so I went into the Navy. And
Army
then,
here.
Well, thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Thanks for the support.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then 4 years, 5 days later, I got back into snowboarding.
Who's counting?
They owe me 5 days.
So did you take your block leave and go?
Yeah. So I would take my leave every year, and I'd go. I would help teach in the like the Christmas time era, and then I would spend the rest of the time with my family.
What did
you
you
go.
do in the Navy?
I was an ABH, Aviation Boats as Wayne Handler, on board
nice.
the Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Nice.
Babe.
yeah. So I was just chalking and chaining pretty much.
Hey.
Yeah, I love to meet another veteran because I learn new things.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Yeah, I was a tanker in the Army. So
Okay.
He had the
We-
boring.
we
He had the
had-
boring job.
We have a buddy that was a tanker too. The boring job, the biggest vehicle that shoots, moves, and communicates. Sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, and then so after the Navy, I started teaching again, and and then years later, I moved out here, and then I spent a few years doing it here, and then I started valeting a little bit, but snowboarding for a couple seasons, and then the whole social media thing picked up, and then I was able to kind of help Snowboard Jesus build his stuff. And now since then, everything's just been, a whirlwind. It's it's an amazing job, and I love every minute of it. And it's
Skiing
so
every day,
much as
hanging
well.
out.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
exactly. Yeah.
Hanging out with your buddies.
People don't see what's behind the scenes, but yeah,
Right.
definitely the hanging out and having a good time.
Behind the scenes is a little rough sometimes. We get that,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
to be able to hang out with your friends and
Yeah.
your buddies and just keep doing what you're doing is amazing.
It is
So
amazing.
you sprung board from snowboarding into content and social media.
Yeah.
Nice.
I honestly
And you
had
still get to snowboard.
every day.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I wanted to figure out a way to. I think in the back of my mind, I wanted to figure out a way to like be able to teach snowboarding, but without doing it with the resorts. And I never knew really how that was going to happen, and it just kind of all happened at the same time.
Right.
Happen by itself.
Backcountry.
Yeah, backcountry.
Do you do much of that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Because that would be one way to, that just popped in my head.
Yeah.
How do you make money without the resorts, teach people, and it's like, well, what about backcountry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need the
Hiking
resorts
on
for
his
that,
own.
right?
But
It's not like
or a
effective
helicopter.
services there.
Yeah, but
Get a helicopter.
The problem is that
Red Bull?
that's not really beginner terrain environment.
Well, that's
That's the
true.
only thing.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
just find different spots. I mean, really, if you're doing backcountry, you're going to probably snowshoe in or split ski in and then find a small hill to start teaching on, or you're just going backcountry to hit those big hills.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like such a high percentage of snowboarders are beginners. You know, there's those first timers out there. If they don't have a good time, if they don't tell people they've had a good time, the other people aren't going to go. You know, they're not going to go again.
Yeah, you got to
True.
find that hook that's going to like sink in and make it to where you love it and
Yeah.
keep going for it. Because if you don't have that hook, and if you don't have the drive, you're just going to let it go, because at that point you're like, well, it took me forever to learn how to even get up on a snowboard, and I kept hurting myself because I kept crashing and doing this. It's going to get given up right away. But if you can like coax them in, get a couple of like you and Snowboard Jesus, have those nice people that come up, give you some pointers, makes you want to stay around a lot longer.
Absolutely. You know, people spend so much money. You know, most of the people coming here come from the Bay Area, and they spend so much money to drive up here, stay the night somewhere, get the equipment.
Yeah.
You know, pay for the pass, buy the food. You know, there's so many things, and then to buy a pass or to buy a lesson on top of it, whether it's, you know, a cheap $500-600 to add 4 people into the lesson, and or at North Star it's $1,200 for a private lesson all day.
Wow.
It's like, just to be able to go out there and give some people a couple tips here and there that, you know, didn't do that option of buying a lesson and knowing that they're going to come back the next time. I mean, I feel like it's just makes such a difference in the world. And then to film it on top of that, like I never even thought this was possible, but to film it and have so many people see that video, and then to come up to us after and be like, I learned how to snowboard from you. Like that's
That's
insane.
awesome.
Yeah.
Funny
That's-
part is,
yeah, it is
we grew up
insane.
in the 90s, me and you mainly, and Casey. We grew up in the 90s, so I mean, film was just coming out to where you can actually be mobile with it. Even then, it was like really janky little
Yeah.
cameras.
Yeah.
But I mean, through the progression the last 20 years, it's excelled. It's gone beyond and above. So I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, you want to talk the technology advancement of cameras and technology blend. Now you can put the camera, high resolution or high definition camera, onto a drone
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then film.
Yeah, it's no
mean,
longer
it's-
reel to reel, Will.
It's Hey, Kevin,
Yeah.
mind yourself now.
I don't know how to
Mind
do that.
yourself.
Minding myself is a little hard,
fine.
especially in a group like this where communication is perfect.
It's so
But I
funny.
mean, realistically, right? If you think about it, if only you could go back to the '90s and be like, "Hey, just invest in GoPro. Trust me."
Millionaire.
Or
Be able
these
to snowboard
360
every day.
cameras, you know, the 360 camera that we use, you know, we hold it on a stick,
Yeah.
but it looks like a drone's following us in front of us,
Yeah.
behind of us.
Because it
I've seen
eliminates the stick. You don't even see the stick
exactly.
these
It
days.
just stitches it out.
See,
yeah.
and I was surveillance here, so I installed cameras for a while. So like our 360 cameras are still nowhere close to being like your 360 cameras on that stick, looking like a drone. It looks like a point down, and it looks like, you know what a fisheye camera is?
Yeah.
It's really close, weird looking. It looks like that, and like you can scroll in and get a better image, but still, it's not as good as those new
Well-
360s.
If you know the people, let us know because we can hook you up with 360, but we're going to want a percentage of that.
Listen, I stopped working in surveillance for a reason. It's no longer there for me.
You know, the percentage of 0 is still 0.
That is true.
Hey, thank you guys very much for having me on. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you for
Thanks for
coming
coming
on.
on.
I appreciate
Yeah.
you coming in.
You guys are really easy to talk to, and I love the spot. This
Yeah,
is
man.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome to come back anytime you like.
Anytime you're
Yeah,
in the
we
area,
would
man.
love to chat about maybe
Swing
coming
on
back.
down.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
so the podcast is going to be Sundays from now on, I think around noon, but you'll be on the mountain, so I won't hold you to coming in.
Awesome. Well, be safe, be careful, and shred happy.
quick,
too,
quick
sir.
question. Do you smoke cigars or drink whiskey?
Both.
He was doing both.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Don't
well,
tell anybody though.
Well,
Listen, you just told everybody yourself.
Don't ruin his reputation, okay?
I'm okay to be the edgy one. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Awesome,
it.
dude.
I might actually take this extra cigar just to go, just for in case.
There you
Yeah,
go.
man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming in. We appreciate the conversation.
have a
We
good night.
appreciate the knowledge. And we're glad that you actually made it in.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate it. Have a good night.
you
Yeah.
too.
All right, gentlemen. So
Is that gonna
that
call
was
it?
another Daily Torch. This was our live event. We had some new faces, Snowboard Jesus, Half Cap King. It was awesome to meet him. And if you tune back in next time, it might be a Sunday at noon, but we'll see you then.